Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Brad Taylor. Brad is the Senior Director of Engineering at Marqeta. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Brad, let's start with a background of yourself. Can you give us some insight into your journey in technology, from where you got started, some of the roles you've held along the way, taking us up to today as the Senior Director of the Engineering team at Marqeta?
Yeah, happy to. I'm very lucky when I was pretty young to have an interest in computers and technology, writing code in Visual Basic when I was a kid, and had a chance to go to UC Irvine, really great people there, and learned quite a lot about Linux through that process, got involved in open source, and have been lucky through the years to keep working at more interesting companies. And in fact, each company that I worked for has been in a different industry. So I started in healthcare, worked in gaming news for a little while, worked on some laptops, worked at Ask Men, a men's lifestyle blog and a website. And up until recently, worked in consumer electronics. So worked in pet tech and worked in woodworking tools. And now I'm at Marqeta, leading up a pretty great sized team who does credit, digital banking, and customer experiences at Marqeta, who is the leading company in modern card issuing. And what that is basically is taking a modern lens on relatively old technology. The work that we do integrates Visa, MasterCard, Pulse, and Discover with some amazing technology companies like Instacart and DoorDash, Uber Eats, Cash App, Coinbase, and JPMorgan Chase. So really lucky and happy to be at this company.
Excellent, and I appreciate the background because it certainly highlights your diverse background, having worked in several different industries now. Before jumping into your role in detail, I'd love to understand what drew you to Marqeta, particularly given you've worked in so many other industries prior.
It was a bit of a pivot from working in consumer electronics and really also pivot from being head of engineering for a few different companies. I was really looking forward to working at Marqeta Scale, which was really going global, growing at an incredible pace. I joined the company about 2.5 years ago and then seeing the company to go IPO. But lastly, I'll say there's actually a lot of interesting things about the payments industry that I didn't really know about. And through the interview process, learned a heck of a lot more about how card transactions flow globally at very high reliability and a lot high volume. It's also a very important service to every single person, so it touches people in a very direct way. It's also a thing that happens behind the scenes. So I loved all of that combination of aspects and really am enjoying that kind of ride so far.
Excellent, and thank you for sharing that. So I want to now switch my attention to your role and your team specifically. Can you give us some insight into the work that your group does and how that works integrated with the broader technology group at Marqeta, utilizing the data, transactions, fraud, and on all of the other aspects that go into such a complex problem?
So my teams tend to be more consumer-oriented versus some other teams that are more commercial-oriented. So the credit and digital banking organizations that I run focus on consumer cards and consumer programs. So in the credit side, we're building a kind of brand new system of record. First time we've ever built that at Marqeta, and certainly probably in the last 20 years in the world, taking a modern approach on credit processing. Digital banking being with Cash App as one of our biggest customers there, and Coinbase as well. Deep down kind of modern money movement methods. And on the customer experience side, really, how do we provide all that data to our customers? We have a Marqeta dashboard application that highlights that data to our customers, dispute management, card fulfillment, card issuing, BIN management, lots of different things in that realm. But basically, all interacting with that core transaction data, doing unique, interesting things with it, and making sure it stays up with a high amount of reliability. The rest of the organization, a lot focused on kind of our risk and fraud work and our processing and core processing engine. We interact with those teams very intimately, as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've already touched on it, that it's quite a complex problem that you're trying to solve, which requires multiple teams. Can you give us some insight into what a typical project is like day to day and some of the challenges that you and your team are faced on the engineering side?
I think it starts with core customer orientation. How do we understand what we're going to go off and build, and what's the right solution for them? So we might partner with a customer on, especially in the beta sense, what's the right component to build, and then how do we back into what's the right money movement way? How does the money go from the bank to the customer to the cardholder? And then how do we then plumb all that through in terms of the code in a high reliability, high availability? How do you plumb that into the data warehouses and pipelines that we can then analyze and make sure everything is done correctly? As you can imagine, in payments, one of the big bars to entry is not only have to do all these things, but you also have to do them to the penny every single time, every single day. And so that reconciliation and settlement thing is actually a really important muscle that is part and parcel with not only do we deliver the product, but also do we continue to deliver high quality service to our customers.
Brad, given the volume of data that you and your group are exposed to on a daily basis with all these transactions, what are some of the takeaways that your team and the broader business can take from all of this, from whether it be insights or analytics or predictive modeling?
Absolutely. I think it was kind of interesting going through the pandemic and seeing the way the world was using payments. I think we did put up some press releases around that time about the transition to delivery, transition to away from physical stores, a lot of interesting insights through there. But really, we look at the data in a variety of different ways. Not only are the insights about how consumers end up using their cards, Cash App in particular is one of them, but also there are insights into how we need to scale our products, how we need to meet the market where they're at. We're using data in a variety of different ways in almost every part of the company to ensure that we're making the right product. The product is being delivered at a high quality. As I mentioned before, this reconciliation and sell-out piece is super critical in our industry. So we make sure that we're doing everything down to the penny. And especially when you're moving money in the millions and billions of dollars, you got to make sure all that's being done very well and accurately and have high confidence that everything is correct. And then lastly, how do we use that transaction behavior, how do we use that data, and how our customers are using the product as insights to build better products in the future.
You are listening to the Alldus Podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Brad, I want to get your take now on the team and the culture that you've built within your own group, but at Marqeta on a larger scale. You've worked in many different industries now, from healthcare to pet care and all of these different spaces. What have you found that's unique about Marqeta? What have you enjoyed most about your time there, particularly when you look at the team that you've built?
And this came through directly in the interviews. I've been really lucky to work with a culture already at Marqeta that's really fantastic. And that's from our CEO, Jason Gardner, on down. There's really a people centricity, making sure that we're doing right by our folks, making Marqeta a place where folks can do the best work with their lives. We talk a lot about that internally, and how that ends up resulting in is really just a focus on leaving room for folks to grow, giving them the right coaching and training to get to the next level. How do we align folks with what the product should be and understand the customer's pain? That's a lesson that I pulled from my past work in startups is, I think that when you're 10 people, it's very easy to be really centered around the customer, because in many cases, the customers are you or the customers. My past experience at Whistle, we made GPS trackers for dogs and cats. And every person in the office had a dog or a cat. And a lot of those folks brought them into the office. And so that kind of dog fooding, quite literally, was part and parcel to the company. And so when I joined Marqeta, I really wanted to bring that dog fooding culture into the company. And in fact, in our credit product, we actually have an internal credit product that we built to really understand what does it mean to run a credit system of record. And that needs to go throughout the culture so folks really understand the pain of the customer, really center their work around what the customer needs. And to me, that builds the best products. When people are building great products, they tend to be happier and enjoy their work more and want to stay for longer. And to me, if we can make sure folks are getting the right growth opportunities, that they understand the work that they're doing and they're connecting to the customer, they can see the work and how it improves the world or improves their customers' lives. To me, that's the way to make people happier and more excited to work at the company.
Yeah, really good point. And you've given some insight into what was going to be my next question. But as you speak to prospective candidates to try and lure them to Marqeta, above some of the many other amazing opportunities out there, what is it that you highlight about the work, the impact, and the culture that will get people to join Marqeta over some of the other opportunities out there?
Yeah, it starts with people. As I said earlier, I think that having a group of folks that work around some shared goals, that are all excited to come to work every single day, that are seeing their interpersonal goals being met and exceeded and are growing in their career, that's a great place to start. And then you layer on top of that a growing set of customers with a growing set of needs. We end up having quite a lot of champagne problems where, wow, our customers using that a lot more than we really expected. That's a great problem to have. And we have such great product market fit. Layer on top of that, all of that is the challenge you have at scale. Those are really exciting challenges for engineers to meet, to figure out what's the best way for us to manage a huge amount of incoming data at a very high reliability. How do we connect that back end to the customer? All these things to me really make a compelling story for Marqeta. And while we just went public last month in July, the road is not over. There's still so much more to that story. And I think it's an exciting time for folks, new engineers as well as established engineers, to really be part of Marqeta's next chapter as we grow to meet even more demands of our customers, add new products, and be a larger share of global payments.
Yeah, and you've teed it up nicely with the recent the recent announcement of going public, obviously a next phase of growth in store. So when you look ahead for, let's say, the next 18 months to 2 years at Marqeta, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, I'm most excited about personally our customers' continued growth. I think that to me is super neat when we can see customers we started with many years ago. I think DoorDash is a great example. We worked with them when they were a tiny little company, and now they're a public company and they've grown just massive ways. I think we'll hopefully continue to see many customers like that we partner with when they're small and then scale to incredible height. In general, been really happy to see that. And I think ultimately also Marqeta's centricity around the customer means that we're really being thoughtful about meeting the customer where they are and trying to find opportunities to partner more closely with customers to build the product that's right for them. So I would love to see us do that type of thing again in new industries and see additional growth.
Brad, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us. I appreciate you sharing your own background and highlighting that you've been adventurous enough to work in so many different industries and what you've gained from that. I appreciate you sharing the background of Marqeta and some of the amazing work that you're doing. And obviously with the recent venture into going public, it sounds like it's going to be a great place to work for the years ahead. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the conversation.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.